It's all about having the key insights, following the leaders of the crypto industry and background stories on blockchain technology trends to keep you one step ahead. Monty Metzger, CEO of LCX.com, keeps you up to speed with what's moving global crypto markets and gives you the latest insights about LCX's platform and ecosystem. This is LCX Insights Live.
Welcome to LCX Insights Live. In this special video shows, I'm engaging with the world's top blockchain projects, entrepreneurs, investors, and pioneers in crypto and blockchain in honest conversations meant to challenge traditional ways of thinking. My name is Monty Metzger, and I'm founder and CEO of LCX. LCX is a regulated fintech company that focuses on digital asset trading with LCX Exchange, compliant token offerings, which we now do with token issuance and token sales on our launchpad, and tokenization, which we also do with diamonds, for example, tokenized diamonds at diamonds.com. LCX has received 9 blockchain-related registrations and approvals by the regulator in Liechtenstein. That's more than any other company in the country. Liechtenstein is an important financial hub right next to Switzerland and Austria in the middle of Europe, and it has received a AAA rating from Standard & Poor's. That's the highest rating a country can get. Liechtenstein has introduced the most forward-thinking legal framework for cryptocurrencies and blockchain companies, providing legal clarity and security for LCX users. And I cannot state this more often, and the legal framework is in full force since 1st January 2020. So LCX is compliant and regulated since more than 3 years now, and we just celebrated 5th-year anniversary. But today it's not about LCX, it's about Gauss. And therefore, I'd like to welcome our guest on stage. Here's Gary, CEO and founder of Gauss. Welcome. Can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you, Monty. How are you?
Excellent. Good to have you on the show. So we will take this and very interactive. The community has the option to post your questions, so you can go to YouTube or any, I think we're on LinkedIn also, and on Twitter. You can comment below, and then I will see the questions here, and we can then answer every question we get. We aim to give a good overview about Gauss, Gauss chain, Gauss ecosystem, the Gaussgang, the whole community, the whole movement, about the exciting Layer 1 project. And before we dive into all your questions, Gary, can you summarize? What are you doing? What is Gauss?
Yeah, so Gauss is the curated ecosystem for digital products, rewards, and collectibles. And what we mean by that is, especially for crypto natives, we're a permission layer 1 where we're vetting everyone that launches with us. We want to create a place where brands can protect themselves, their IP, their users from fraud, scams, the general lack of accountability that we see in this space, which is one of the largest issues we have. So that's Gauss in a nutshell.
And in terms of the development and the product, when did you start like having the idea? What was the ignition point there, and where do you stand now?
So it started from a desire to do something in the space. I've been in and out of the space since 2009. When I first mined Bitcoin way back in the day, gave it all away because it was worthless at the time. But we wanted to do something in the space. I feel like it was the right time. 2018 was still really early. I think we're ready for that mass adoption point in the next cycle, ready to start hitting into that. I also have a problem with digital marketing. It's really expensive, it's inefficient, and I feel like reward and loyalty programs to engage audiences and consumers is a far better approach. So, combining those two things and trying to solve multiple problems, some, for brands and some for users, that's how Gauss was born.
Exciting. And now when I look at your platform, it's gaussgang.com. Just get that in the stream as well. And now let's have a look at and describe, I think you talked about where you started a little bit, but give us a more insights about the vision. So when we now look at Gaussgang, what can we expect? What's the overall vision? Where will you stand in the coming years?
Yeah, I talk a lot about where we'll be in 5 and 10 and 20 years, because that's really what we're building toward. We're, skating to where the puck will be, not where it is right now. The future I see is one where we have a large myriad of virtual interconnected microeconomies, right? That'll be a lot of games, virtual environments, but also brands and altering the way that they engage with their consumers and audiences. If you imagine something like the Pepsi coin in 5, 10 years existing on a blockchain, how that could change their marketing, their relationships with other platforms. That's part of it. We also have some, in my opinion, forward-thinking views on the future of metaverses. And I know that topic that, it sounds very buzzy at this point, but I've been dreaming about metaverses my entire life, since the 80s and 90s. Those cyberpunk worlds and everything when I was playing games and role-playing games, especially Shadowrun and the like. Just a virtual environment where you could exist and explore, parallel to the world that we're in now. So there's some things in that front that I'd also like to build toward, some fundamental pillars that I think that need to exist that I don't see much work being done on yet. Yeah, that's, some of what we're looking to do in the next, 5 years and beyond.
And then at your website, you also state it's designed for influencers, designed for brand, designed for you. Like, how do you think will Gauss shape this relationship between brands and community, and what role will you play?
Yeah, so it's funny. This is one of the first things we came up with for how to present it, and we feel like we hit a home run. We haven't really altered our landing page in the longest time, because I do feel like that helps convey what we're looking for, right? It's not just designed for just businesses and big brands. It's not just designed for any particular group. It's the advent of the internet, the advent of e-commerce, social media, all of those different technologies. That's what we're going to be looking at here as well. I know there's been a lot of hype around blockchain technologies for a while with not a lot of great delivery, but yeah.
And so looking at your website, you also describe this tokenized ecosystem to serve the needs of any brand. Can you elaborate on that? Like, what is this tokenized ecosystem? How does it look like?
Yeah, so for now, like the early days of, internet chat and whatnot, it's not very user friendly. We had Telnet and ICQ for the nerds of us back then. And that's where we're at right now. Blockchain technologies is not very user friendly. So the first steps are making the ecosystem that works, and then it's making it better, making it more usable. Account abstraction is going to be a big one. But when we say tokenized ecosystem, blockchains are just databases. So means by which we track transactions. The ecosystem is really about connecting users and different brands. Let's say Pepsi wants to do something with Southwest Airlines down the road, and they both have tokens within our ecosystem. They can combine forces and create unique tokenized marketing campaigns. And that's part of it. I also think that in the not too distant future, we'll see a lot of brands rewarding consumers for their attention. I think basic attention token was a great first stab at it, but I think that individual branded tokens is a better approach. So if you see a Pepsi ad, you would get Pepsi coin. Pepsi could then look at that information and see who's using those, who's buying them, and who's selling them, who never uses them, right? Allowing them to retarget far better without really getting into the pervasive side of user data, because there's a lot of things that we care about protecting in this space. We don't want to do KYC. I believe in end user custody of their assets. It's a whole reason why I want to see this evolve for gaming. I want to own my characters and my items and skins and things. So yeah, it's a big topic, and there's a lot to it there, from brands and engagement and gaming and all different things. Seeing a billboard in a game and getting Pepsi coin for that, I could see that happening in 10 years.
And are there any like concrete projects you are enabling or working in the stealth mode at the moment? Is this something you can already share with the community?
There's some that we're courting. There's one that's a large Fortune 500 brand that is working on a campaign that they do every year, but they want to evolve it toward Web3, because they want to create evergreen digital products, right? This thing that persists and gives them a digital legacy over time. So if we end up landing that deal, it'll be really cool. They run a large ad campaign to go alongside that whole, effort. What else can I talk about? I think brands exploring Web3 and learning, experimenting is probably the best way. We haven't seen all the best use cases yet. I don't think there have been many phenomenally well executed campaigns at all. Gary V's VFriends is probably one of the top, in my opinion, for brand creation and digital IP. And then monetization of that, right? He made $1 billion brand from some hand drawings of his and his belief in providing value to those holders, that community. And that's a phenomenal execution. So I think there's going to be more where we're working with brands to experiment, right? That's what the initial toes are going to look like. It's going to take us a bit probably before we get lots of big brands willing to create a token and then maintain that virtual economy. Creating microeconomies that are long-term sustainable and able to thrive is challenging. You're familiar with this. That's what you need monetary policy for, right? Right. You can't just fire and forget a token and say, well, that's it. We're never going to touch it again. That's just what it's going to be. You can, but it would not work out well for brands. Brands having a Pepsi coin worth $1,000 would not do them any good, contrary to what consumer opinion might think.
Right, but these loyalty programs had been there for decades, right? Just like having the opportunity to tokenize that is huge. And I think especially with brands, I was fascinated when reading the white paper. So for anybody who are interested, you can go to Gaussgang.com and then click on docs. You end up here in the white paper, and then you could, for example, do a quick search. So there you have use cases elaborated, token economics, customized for brands. You also talk about kind of a lack of token adoption and how brands could significantly play a role there to bring the next growth wave, the next bull run for crypto, and ultimately more adoption, but also some additional elements. So as you can see, lots and lots of details. But there's one particular point which is important, which you point out in your white paper also, like why build with Gauss? Can you summarize this question for us?
Yeah, there's I think a few different points that are worth mentioning. I think it would be disingenuous of us to not acknowledge what has been done and what has been built with public blockchains, but they're not built for accountability. And I think that that's one of the biggest core benefits that we offer foundationally with Gauss. We're giving brands the way that they're accustomed to protect their IP. If you look at Disney, they're one of the most territorial of their intellectual property. Right now, however, they don't have any way of going after anyone for IP infringement or, whatever. I suspect they'll end up going after platforms and marketplaces down the road, but that's a different topic. So we're giving them a place that they can do that, where they can say, yeah, this is official, this is us, everything else is not. And everything within our ecosystem benefits from that as well. So just a higher quality, higher integrity ecosystem. We'll also be going gasless with Gauss 2.0 and a lot of other architecture upgrades. Our Omni pool, that will be the single pool of liquidity for the entire ecosystem. A lot of cool stuff in that realm. We're also able to do zero gas right now, and zero gas and gasless are two different things, technically similar, but different, which is appealing for brands. They need to be able to have simpler experiences for their users, their consumers. Having a third token that they need to utilize within their app and everything else is just frustrating, right? Just as frustrating as creating a wallet is for a non-native, non-crypto native. So I think the advancements that we're looking toward and the quality and integrity are two of the bigger things. I think it'll be interesting. We'll have, it'd be naive for me to say that we'll never have a bad actor slip through the cracks. So it'll be interesting to pursue that at that time. I'm not looking forward to it. I'm saying it'll be interesting, right? There's no other blockchain at scale that's holding bad actors accountable. What does that look like? A layer one chain suing somebody for fraud or IP infringement or whatever else they're doing.
And you mentioned the Gauss ecosystem and in particular the Gauss chain. So in your white paper, you also talk about the Gauss chain, and it says it's a curated layer one blockchain designed to change the global perspective of blockchain technology. What does it work? What does it mean, and how does it work? A curated layer one.
Yeah, so I think, down the road, it'll be a potentially more scalable process. Right now, it's very manual. We have 3 pipelines into Gauss. 2 of them are fairly traditional in the business world. We have the agency pipeline in, we have the business development pipeline in, and then a curation process. And those exist because for, Pepsi, for any other large brand, we're not doing KYB or know your business, knowing the team behind it for, their CEO or their marketing director or whomever. So there's that pipeline in, fairly traditional. The agency pipeline in is creating relationships with third parties, marketing agencies and whatnot, where they can launch products within Gauss, but they have a higher level of trust and there's a higher degree of scrutiny there that they have to meet because we're giving them that tool, the ability, that, relationship with us so they can meet needs for their clients. And then there's the curation side. which is for indie games, new projects, smaller teams, that sort of thing, that we put them through a thorough vetting process of internal and third-party vendor steps to ensure that we're weeding out the bad actors. And again, like I said, it would be naive to say that it'll never happen, but we're aiming to make it very, very difficult. So that's the graded side.
Yes, and then you also mentioned the Gauss V2. So you're in the second stage already. That's what fascinated me also about the project. There's a lot of time spent already in the product development on the side. So what is V2? What are the differences? And can you explain what is Gauss V2?
Yeah, sure. I think first for Gauss V1, what we've already accomplished is, in my opinion, phenomenal, monumental. We have a great team, and Austin, our CTO and lead developer, he's already put out 1.1 million lines of code. That's a lot for a pre-funded tech startup. We have our testnet, mainnet, Explorer, Swap, and Marketplace, and we have a couple other products, first-party products and third-party integrations that we're rolling out pretty soon. So we're already doing a great deal pre-funded. That alone is different in the tech world, in my opinion. Gauss 2.0 and what we're going to, thank you. Gauss 2.0 and what we're building toward is, harder, better, faster, stronger for anyone that likes that music. But really, it's different. We want to change a lot of the things that create hurdles for users. We want to create higher degree of capital efficiency within the ecosystem. There's a lot to Gauss 2.0. Like Gauss 2.0 for us is really a milestone down the road, right? It encompasses architecture level changes, protocol changes, that's new tokenized protocols and things like that. The Omni pool, which is the biggest one, the swap, developing that from the ground up, creating a seamless user and client experience. So we want one dashboard that they interact from to launch everything within the ecosystem. And for clients, that also means one back-end dashboard to interact with any of the different, reward and loyalty platforms to look at their statistics or any number of other things, all of the back-end functions in one place for them. All the security stuff. We have a partnership with Anchain.ai, which is a significant provider in this space. We have some with others, but with them, we're utilizing some of their services, and we'll be offering a number of third-party services to everyone within the Gauss ecosystem, which is another thing I think that sets us apart from others, the ability for us to provide those things and to give support to everyone in the ecosystem because we're so selective. Gauss 2.0 is a lot. Everything we can manage to put into it.
Fascinating. And I think you pointed out the kind of deep technology and how much coding lines and coding hours and development energy went into the project already. And that's something I really want to point out, because we are at LCX, when we host a token sale and say we are supporting a project, we are highly selective. We have to decline most of the projects coming to us. And we have a due diligence process. So we look at the projects like an investor. And I had been a VC myself, running a venture capital fund and did a lot of tech investments. And I just held a masterclass today about what are the criteria about selecting a good new blockchain project. And there's the product, there's the team, and there's a community. And what we got feedback from our community is, oh, Gauss, if you look at Gaussgang, Twitter or something, there's not much going on. Also on your social channels, this is growing. But that's something which I can also explain, because you had been in stealth mode for such a long time. You'd been focusing on team and product, and you just described the lines of code, the hours of sweat, of kind of work, passion, knowledge, everything which went into the product. And it's not just a PowerPoint presentation where you are, there's really something in the background which is substantial. So that's the product side. And then the other thing which we didn't talk about is the team. I think it's outstanding in terms of what you have achieved there, bringing this some of the smartest people together. So also when I look at your website, there's you, there's Patrick, Austin, Lauren, and so on. So many people. Can you explain, give us an overview about who is Gauss team?
Yeah, certainly. So again, I'm fortunate to been able to put together this team and work with everyone. And I'm sure you get this as CEO. It's interesting. I think a lot of people who've never been in the seat before think that you're always just at the top, and that while that's partially true, I work for everyone else in Gauss, right? I am a tool for the team. So I myself, I'm a Marine veteran. Started my first business at 12. I've been doing that on and off my whole life, the entrepreneurial pursuit. Pat's been a C-suite exec in finance for more than 3 decades, mostly in tech, cybersecurity, American dynamism, and on the tech side of that. We have Austin, our CTO, who I've mentioned is a phenomenal coder, well younger than me. I've been coding on and off my whole life, so I'm semi-technical, what I refer to myself as. We can code circles around me. He's definitely he's a rare breed in the code monkey genre. Lauren, our CSO, Chief Science Officer, she will be heading up our research and development and our philanthropic endeavors down the road. Her focus is actually environmental and data sciences. Max, our CBDO, somebody that we were able to be fortunate enough to bring on board pretty early, and he's had a evolving role over time. We have Gerard, our in-house counsel. Derek is phenomenal on the team, heading up our curation department. Arguably one of our more important cornerstones, or Rosetta Stone of what is that? The anchor stone of what Gauss is. I want to really bring him on board as chief of staff down the road. It would be perfect for his skill set. And the rest of the team, not to discount anyone. I could speak about our team for an hour. I'm glad, you're scrolling through them. But the team, it's funny. I was just saying the other day, because it hadn't even really occurred to me until we were talking about it and I was thinking about it. We have 5 graduate degrees on the team, 2 currently in work and 3 others that have been attained. Everyone else has degrees. I don't have any degree. We have a great team. I love the death out of our team. I think you can't get to where you are doing anything by yourself, and being able to bring together such an extraordinary group of people who share worldviews and visions, you have that alignment, and who believe in what you're building. We're passionate about that and willing to follow you on this really crazy journey as a startup for peanuts. It's impressive. So
yeah,
thanks.
And like looking at the team, I was impressed. I think especially with the CTO, also with the marketing team, very, very professional there, and how you present the project. And then of course also Patrick as a kind of seasoned, more like gray-haired business professional. I think it's a very powerful combination. And having kind of an investor experience, the team is crucial to success. You won't achieve it alone, and even if the product at the beginning might not be like the most outstanding thing in the world, the team has the power to turn it into the most fascinating, biggest project. So that's why I really trust in that, in the team, and the knowledge and everything. And then on top of that, as said, I think with the product, you already spent so much hours. So when did you start developing it, and when was the first version out, and then now, like, what's the time frame we're talking about?
Yeah, you can actually pull up the Explorer. I don't know if you have those links.
Yeah.
The start of Gauss, which originally just started as Gang Inc., was almost 2.5 years ago at this point. But the first year was really a lot of conceptualization, ideation. What are we doing? What are we building? That point that most people usually raise money, right?
Right.
You know, creating our initial documents, the website, that sort of figuring out who we are and what we're doing. We spent a lot of time doing that. And then, you know, from the start of last year, really started to crunch into development, which again is mostly Austin. We launched NFTs to raise some capital to build out an initial team a year ago, last July, and push through to where we are today. So
Yeah, and
I think, go ahead.
I just pulled up the Explorer. I mean, I see the blocks coming in here um, every 2 seconds, yeah, and also the wallet creation. So that's what's unique about Gauss and the whole Gauss ecosystem. It's nothing which is like being built and coming out next year. It's there already, but it had been in kind of undercover stealth mode until now. So that's why we are super excited to present it to LCX community, now also in the LCX Insiders Live, sharing it. I think that's really great to see. Then talking about the products on your website, also the ecosystem you described, there's the Ferro cards. So what are the Ferro cards first, and then?
Yeah, so the Ferro cards are, like I said, for us, they were a way to, one, raise some initial revenue, but also a way for us to, you know, really showcase what we're talking about, a way to engage with our community. A long time ago, I started calling them magnets for awards and keys to exclusive opportunities, because that's what we want them to be long term. You know, we want this to be a community membership sort of pass, but launched by a layer one blockchain. What would that look like if it would have been launched by Polygon at their inception? You know, to now, if people were able to get discounts with things launching on, you know, a layer one or a layer two, what does that look like? So, like I said earlier, I think experimenting is the way to go. I think it's an interesting experiment from a blockchain perspective. It was a way for us to distribute some of our token, which we haven't distributed to those holders yet, but you know, post public token sale that we're in right now, we'll start that process. And it should be a phenomenal case study that we can show to brands to say, look, this is what we're doing. This is what we've learned. This is the good and the bad. This is how maybe we would have improved upon, you know, our initial concept here. And this is how we are improving it. So I think that's the best way to show brands what's possible, is to experiment and do.
And talk about what these brands can do. It's important to look at the roadmap. So also here you'll find the details here about phase 1, phase 2, phase 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4. Gary, can you explain to us, like, what are the key milestones on the roadmap, what you've achieved and what's ahead.
Yeah. So we already have a lot of road behind us. We're in that phase 3, phase 4 area right now. We're already signing initial clients. We've already done a great deal of development. We're still continuing to do more new development. The roadmap, as I've said before, it's a long-term project. We're not building Gauss, for a year or two. I have my sights on, 10 and 20 years out. So I don't think we'll see mass adoption in 2024. If I'm being honest, we'll see more and more adoption, but we don't hit that inflection point right away. So what does it mean for businesses and brands, though? If you look at websites, right? No business wanted a website in 1990. Nobody thought they were ever going to need it. E-commerce was the same way. Social media, same way. This is the next step in evolution of things, in my opinion.
The next step in evolution, and there also want to see, I think, a next step which everybody wants to see is more traction on Gauss, bigger community, and you're already pushing when I see into our chat. So just to remind the community, you can file your questions in the chat. Just write the questions or give feedback or something, and we'll pick it. What I already see is a lot of join the gang, Gaussgang hashtags coming in here. So that's great. So there's already kind of a good vibe there. And there are also good questions. Probably like here a comment from Rob. The users are endless for brands. We talked about this already. The use cases and the vision around it. That's right. Then another comment here. Gauss is truly a community-centric blockchain due to the anti-scam feature, along with awesome giveaways for active community members. Much love. So, Gary, can you explain this anti-scam feature and also give an overview about the community giveaways if they're more active?
Yeah. So the anti-scam, anti-fraud, all of that is two parts. Like anything in medicine, there's part preventative and then, mitigating things when it does happen. The preventative side is that we're a permissioned ecosystem. We're not just allowing anyone in, right? That's the washing hands side of Gauss. And then the other side of it is, the penicillin. When it does happen, when you do get an infection, you treat it, hopefully rapidly, with some authority and get it dealt with. I think bad actors should be held accountable. I think if you asked 100 people out there right now why they've never participated in blockchain technologies, scams and fraud is going to be your number one reason, and not by a small margin. It's going to be like 9/10 or more of the people that respond. So, that's part of it. And we're still forming those processes. That's also going to be a learning experience, right? The first time we have to take somebody to court isn't going to be pleasant. It's not, it'll be new and not fun, but we'll learn, we'll evolve, but that's the mission, right? That's the goal. I don't think you ever...
That's this anti-scam element which you've built in. And now talking about community giveaways, rewards, is that something you're already doing? What's planned?
Yeah, so we have a number of different contests, campaigns, giveaways, that sort of thing that we run to engage with our community. I think they're fun. I'm a gamer. I'm looking forward to making them more fun down the road. But right now, our NFT holders, we have what we call Wings and Dings, which is a weekly Iron NFT giveaway and a daily Iron NFT giveaway. Military background, fan of acronyms. It happens a lot. But we've set aside a number of those NFTs to give away to NFT holders. They'll also be getting an allocation of our native token for the next 5 years. That Paull's already set aside. That's one of those things. We also have Gleam campaigns and Zeely campaigns, and we like games, we like giveaways. I think it's a more interesting approach to distributing tokens than if we were to do, you know, some 0.02 cent public sale or whatever with our token and just give it out freely and watch the curve go up and the curve dive. I'm not a huge fan of that. I'd rather reward builders, incentivize builders with Gauss, and incentivize our community to stay engaged. I think that, you know, that mechanism and incentive design is important, and we're going to learn. We're going to learn what works, what doesn't.
Yeah, excellent. So much love to be shared with the community and engagement. Then there's another question here. What other incentives would there be for validators if you went gasless?
So that's part of the benefit of being a centralized blockchain. If you're permissioned, you're generally centralized. So for us, sorry, I have dogs, by the way, and they're being needy. But that's part of the benefit of us being centralized, is that we're not worrying about that, right? We are incentivized to run validators because it's our blockchain, it's our ecosystem. Our primary revenue stream is transaction fees, so that still exists. Part of the reason why there's not a lot of hubbub, a lot of marketing around this concept of us being zero gas capable at the moment, because we're always going to have some manner of transaction fees, right? It's the PayPal model or whatever applied to an entire blockchain. Yeah, so that answers that question.
Yeah, it does. And I do see like more questions coming in, and we already talked about this anti-scam feature. Robert also asked him about it. We won't reply again. I think we talked about it. Just skip back a couple of minutes. But that's, I think, a new aspect from Wim. How are you going to be profitable as a company?
See, that's what we were just talking about. I also want to say El Mando, last I checked, was actually top of the leaderboard of one of the contests that's going right now. It might be our Gleam competition. But how are we going to be profitable as a company? Again, transaction fees. That's, I think, more and more people and brands and games will realize the power of making a percentage off secondary sales, right? If you look at the entire space or any individual project, an example I use all the time, Alpine F1 racing team, they did $15.1 billion in transaction volume in a year. And if the team were making a percentage of that, those are large numbers, right? So spread that across an entire ecosystem. That's how we get to be profitable. You know, if you compare it to Web 2 take rates for Steam or Epic or Apple or Google's, you know, marketplaces, they take 30%. And that's what I'm looking at competing with in the future, is that take rate. Our current percentage seems high for blockchain technologies because you have a lot of low cost blockchain options out there. But 5% realistically is not bad at all for a marketplace as far as brands are concerned. And I think users will find the same, that it's an appealing option.
And I mean, we also talk about the transparency you're putting up. I mean, you're not shy answering these questions. I think that's fantastic. Also presenting the team. I mean, most projects, or like some of the large projects, they still have synonyms or are hiding behind like offshore companies and not telling like who's the team and where do they work from and everything. I think there you're doing a tremendous job. And yeah, there's like good feedback here really coming in also right now. Gauss is going to be the safe haven for projects as well as for investors. And then also this one here, Love the beard, Gary, from John. And I do see, like, if I look at the team where you present the team, also here, McEwen also having quite a strong beard, right?
Yep.
So is that part of your
That's,
success story?
it's funny. That's how Mac. That's one of the early things that connected us. He sent me a message on LinkedIn, said something stupid, and then I must ask you a question. And then it was beard puns for a bit. That's how we initially connected. He was working for a marketing company at the time. But I think, we'll get beards to be more a thing with Gauss. Not everyone can grow them. Austin can't grow one yet. I hope he's watching.
And I think I can also recommend everybody to look into the news section of your website. You talk about the team, the product, and everything. And what I found particularly interesting is this article about how Gauss is more like Lego, or is like Lego. So if you look at that article here, they're the key elements: modular structure, interoperability, creativity, customization, collaborative communities, value and collectivity. That's great. There's also a question about interoperability here, and let me just get this one. Incentives. I think. Yeah, here. From Bavik, Gary, what do you think about building a royalty token on layer 0 blockchain, as it would help brands with interoperability? For example, first airline points could be leveraged by second airlines and other to incentive customers.
So that's kind of what we're already talking about, just doing it from the layer 1 perspective. The airline topic, frequent flyer miles and their reward programs, is one I've spoken about before. I would love to tackle that industry because they have such a, one of the largest reward ecosystems in the world that is very archaic at this point. You may as well be sending people books of stamps for how non-communicative those reward points are. And then you end up also birthing gray markets for frequent flyer miles and reward points because they don't have an official market to exist. And so they're introducing, again, more scam and fraud even into that off-chain industry because they're not giving, a real market for people to participate in. So I agree with the sentiment, and that's kind of what we're working toward. Again, just from the layer 1 perspective. On the interoperability topic, we're EVM compatible. I think it's important at this juncture. I think interoperability is an interesting topic right now because there's not much to it, right? We all talk about interoperability because it's the future, and I do genuinely believe that. But at the moment, realistically, there's not a ton of reason to bridge things between ecosystems. There really isn't. So we're interoperable with every other EVM chain. That'll likely persist in the future. I think it'll be more pervasive in the future. And I hope EVM stays the backbone. I hope we can agree on some standards in the industry. Yeah.
And as I see all these like positive feedback here, Nerdine celebrating Gauss, much love being sent over here. Also, people thanking for the clear answers. That's great. I also noticed that you're doing a Gaussgang ambassadors program. Share this here as well. What is the Gaussgang ambassador program and how to sign up?
Where did you find that link? The ambassador program is something that we've started building a structure for. We haven't actually officially launched, so they can sign up through that forum, which I honestly thought the link was not live. So you're a ninja, Monty.
Yeah, I
But
have
there's
the link to the future. I can tell you it's on your website. That's where I just clicked, but I won't tell where. So everybody
I'll
has to go there
check
and
it later.
search for it, and then you can sign up. So what is the ambassador program?
So the idea is to have a sort of digital street team, right? I have a large event and entertainment background, and we have street teams in that industry that work rather well. People passing out flyers, acting as ambassadors, wearing your merch, that sort of thing. And it's something I wanted to bring to this space because I think we talk about decentralization solely for the
Mhm.
topic of validators, but not in anything else. And I talk about this all the time. I want to see decentralization of revenue streams and governance and creativity and a lot of different things that it's a more nuanced topic than just talking about validators. So the ambassador team is kind of part of that, right? Bringing them into our marketing efforts, giving them some sort of insider track and support to really help be our best brand ambassadors, the most active members of our community, that sort of thing. So that's what it's intended to be. We need
Mhm.
a very special person to helm that team because I've seen ambassador teams done well and I've seen them not well, like most things. And
Mm.
that's definitely one that we want to have done right. And just as a caveat on that, more often than not, it's the management of a thing that causes a thing to fail, right?
Yeah.
And in those ambassador programs and street teams I've seen them some done so damned well over the years, but the ones that are done the worst just don't take care of the team. So anyway, mild tangent there.
Yeah. So community unity at heart. It's important. There is one more question I'd like to take a look at from the community. How are you gonna ensure mass adoption of Gauss chain? As in recent past, we have seen many layer one blockchains launch but didn't get much traction.
Well, I think part of the problem with a lot of other chains that have launched layer ones and twos is that they're doing the same thing over and over and over again. It's hard to compete with Polygon if you're launching Polygon 2.0, right? Just different name. If you're another public chain that's not doing anything vastly different, of course it's harder to compete. For us, I think this idea, this concept isn't just novel, it's needed. And I haven't seen anyone else doing it. There's a couple other permissioned ecosystems that exist out there, but none quite like Gauss, none doing what we're doing. To the point, LVMH, Louis Vuitton, they're launching Aura, a luxury blockchain. And I think they're working with Prada and Cartier. But that's what you're going to see over time, right? We had the just shared media server era of streaming. Then you saw a couple big streaming companies come out, and then everybody had their own individually successful streaming company, and some of them died off because they sucked. And that's going to happen. It's happened with, again, every advent, going back to cars and everything else. Cars, there were 3,500 automakers over the years in that first chunk of time. Most of them didn't survive. What will make us survive is getting marquee partners launching with us and the way that flywheel starts to move. Because right now they're all testing the ecosystems out with Polygon. They're not launching evergreen campaigns. They're launching fire and forget free Pepsi coin or Pepsi cans of NFTs or whatever. They're not launching something that they're planning to maintain for 5 or 10 or 20 years.
Yeah.
So that's what we're looking to build.
Also, wanted to point out that if you want to learn more about Gauss, at lcx.com/insight, you'll find a lot of details. We posted, I think, several insight articles. One here, deep dive into Gaussgang and Gauss token. Also a lot of details about your product, your team, and so on. And in particular, now in the last couple of minutes, I want to talk about the Gauss gang launch of the gang token and the gang compliant token sale. So why did you choose LCX to launch and do the token sale?
So there's a number of different reasons. I look up to a number of brands and businesses in this space already as best case examples. I think you guys are leading the charge in Europe. Being regulatory compliant is important, and I think TVTG and MICA are both phenomenal steps in the right direction. I wish here in the US we had that sort of progress, and I like, Brian Armstrong, Coinbase as well, but we don't have that support here. Unfortunately, he's presently having that fight with others, and yeah, it's really unfortunate to see where we're at in the US today. I know you and I have spoken about that previously, but LCX, you guys do things, in my opinion, the right way. As you said, you have 9 licenses already. You're working toward, I'm sure, more as they're being rolled out and allowed in different areas. So that's one of the bigger reasons that I wanted to work with you guys, and that we're working together now.
Yeah, thanks for the compliment. And you're right. Like it is a lot of hard work doing that, and we're proud that you chose us being the partner here for the compliant token sale. And there, I also want to point out that, like, what does it mean to be a compliant token sale? Like, what you see in the news is discussion, this company doing an unregistered sale or whatever. Is it a security or not, and whatever. So these are the headlines in media. But what we leverage is a legal framework which gives clarity. And this legal framework is in full force since January 2020 in Liechtenstein, a small country in the middle of Europe. Liechtenstein is part of the extended European Union, so it's the European Economic Area. So right next to Germany and Switzerland, has a AAA rating of Standard & Poor's, so very high rating as a country, with very strict due diligence laws. And the government and the people over there have discovered blockchain and thought that might be a huge opportunity for them as a financial hub to evolve into the next era of finance, basically becoming a hub there. And that's why they established the Blockchain Act. And this gives legal clarity for any project launching, because it's of 2 aspects. One is a clear classification of a token, whether it's a utility, a payment token, or a security token, or some other form of token, because they define the token as a container which you could fill with any right. It could be a voucher, like a service you use in the future. And at Gauss, it's very clear with the gas fees, with the services you provide. It's like Ethereum, right? So it's a utility, no questions asked. You're not sharing any profit or anything like that there. But it has huge potential. And I often compare it being like an event ticket. You buy a concert ticket right now for the concert which is happening next year. So if like Metallica is on tour and you want to be there, then you buy it as early as possible. And then on the day before the concert, of course, the ticket price will be triple or more than the initial price, because everybody wants to be part of it. And I think that's what we see with the utility tokens out there, that if the demand rises, there's naturally the price will go out. Still, it's not a financial instrument, not a security. So classification. Second element of a compliant token sale for gang token is that LCX is not only providing a launchpad technically, where you can sign up and then buy the token, but it's also providing the legal clarity in the background. So we are responsible to host the token sale. It's our responsibility to make sure that all investors and token buyers are verified and confirmed, and we need to identify all of you joining, and that's our responsibility. And we also, before we actually start, we have to do the notification to the regulator, and this also includes making some transparency statements, and making sure that we have actually published key documents. So this includes a basic information document and the token terms. And the basic information, for example, brings in a lot of clarity for the token buyers, saying like what are the rights of the token, what's the embedded functionalities of it, how does this utility work, who are the people behind you, Patrick, everybody, and then LCX becomes the token issuer. So we are doing it on behalf of yours, like a placement agent, more or less, and that's the biggest difference to any other launchpad out there in the market. I think we're the only one worldwide doing it like that, really taking responsibility, stepping on your side, also joining you for the long term, making sure that it's will be success as good as we can. And yeah, so I think that's why it's exciting here with the Gang token sale, and I can encourage everybody to come to lcx.com and also look for additional information about the Gang sale. There will be several opportunities to join. And so what's Gary, like what's most unique for you about the Gang token and the token sale as we now place it in the market?
Yeah, for us, Gang is an arcade token to interact with the ecosystem. It's also its own, sort of reward token. We'll be using it for rewards and loyalty and all the same things that we talk about as being use cases for brands. It's a means to interact with everything else, to exchange with everything else in the ecosystem. I think most people in this space are fairly familiar with all of those concepts. Anyone that's ever been to an arcade of our generation, I don't think they exist so many or as many out there these days, but we want to have a lot of arcade machines in Gauss.
Yeah.
Sorry, I have a needy dog. I have a few needy dogs.
Yeah.
Just want attention
I think I love it, and everyone's dog should join the gang here, Rob, right? And also for the dogs to have an experience, and also for you people, right? Like you need to visit Liechtenstein. It's beautiful there, and I can tell you, it truly is. It's perfect for dogs. I often take my dog also up the mountains and do a big hike. Also typically do that with the team very often. So it's a beautiful countryside, and it's also beautiful in terms of innovation because they really embrace the blockchain, and a lot of the things we now see in Europe with Mika is really inspired by the Liechtenstein legislation, and we hope to be a good role model that other countries and regions will also adopt some clarity on it. So with that, here, so cute. That's fantastic. I think with that we can wrap up. Gary, what are your kind of final words, thoughts, or the key vision of Gauss which you want to get across? Like if there's one thing people walk out now of the session, what will it be?
Two things. One, Google was something like the 18th search engine, right? So being first gives you some advantage, but you also get to learn from everyone who's gone before you. You get to build on the shoulder of giants. And I think that's a unique position to be in for us. And now, same with Facebook, they certainly weren't the first social media platform.
No.
Second is we're really looking to change the way that businesses do business, right? That's
Right.
a big, big, audacious statement. But what I see in the future and what we're building toward, what we're skating toward, is that really large interconnected system of virtual microeconomies. I know I use that statement a bunch these days, but that's really what it is, right? I don't know what you'd want to call that. It's built on the internet, but like the worldwide brand marketplace or some such, that sort of interconnected model. That's what I really envision us moving toward, and that's what I'm wanting to build with Gauss.
Fantastic.
Big vision.
Big vision, big vision. And I can encourage everybody to go to Gaussgang.com, check out the details over there. You can register at LCX.com to get access to the Gang token sale, or visit LCX.com/insights for more details about deep dive about Gauss and everything. But this was fun. Enjoyed it. Thanks for joining. Gary, talk to you soon. Yeah. Bye.
Thank you so much, Monty. It's a pleasure.
This is LCX Insights Live. For more insights, please visit lcx.com/insights and follow us on Twitter at LCX. Onwards and upwards.